this afternoon's top stories. More artists announced for St. Kitts Music Festival, arson suspected in bakery fire in Guyana, and Trump plans a $54 billion increase in military spending. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, the 28th of February 2017. I am Shaira Flanders. Nationally, the St. Kitts Music Festival Committee has announced the second wave of artists that will be featured during this year's event. In a press release issued on Tuesday morning, the committee listed soca artists Ricardo Drew, Teddyson John, lyrical and voice, as well as reggae performers Felicia Ross, Ed Robinson, and Third World. They join Mavado, Jacua, Shabba Ranks, and the Goo Goo Dolls, who were announced in a press conference in January. The final roster, with all remaining performers to be announced, is expected to be released in coming weeks. The St. Kitts Music Festival, which was started in 1996, will be held from June 22nd to the 24th at the Warner Cricket Stadium in Bastille. Attorney General Byron says the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court serves as an important role in shaping and molding the country's jurisprudence, as there have been hundreds of constitutional matters, thousands of court decisions, and hundreds of judgments that have taken place. The court is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and to commemorate the event, a special court session was held on February 27, 2017 at the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The celebration, which is being held under the theme Embracing the Past, Celebrating the Future, is an important occasion in the life of St. Kitts and Nevis, said Attorney General Byron. The Attorney General said that the theme is suitable upon reflection of the rich history of St. Kitts and Nevis and its people. He said that, quote, the struggles we have faced and the challenges we have overcome through perseverance, faith, and resilience are what make up the country's affluent history. The celebration began with a service on February 26th at the Wesley Methodist Church in Bastille. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, or ECSC, is a superior court of record for the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, or OECS. Its mission is to serve its member states by providing access to a system of justice that is accountable and independent and administered by officers in a prompt, fair, efficient, and effective manner. Its vision statement is the achievement of professionalism and excellence in the timely, effective, and efficient access to and administration of a cohesive, independent, and accountable system of justice for the benefit of its member states. Students of various schools now have a better understanding of sustainable tourism and how it impacts St. Kitts following a tourism education awareness program organized by the Ministry of Tourism. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Carleen Henry Morton, said her ministry has embarked on a people-centered approach to tourism sector development with emphasis on service training and education. The Permanent Secretary also said it is important that they do all in their power to engage the youth, as they will be charged with preserving and safeguarding the industry for future generations. Once a week, the class learns different aspects of tourism as part of the Ministry of Tourism's Tourism Education Awareness Program. The Tourism Education Program is currently taking place at the Sandy Point Primary School, Dr. William Connor Primary School, Bastia High School, and the Advanced Vocational Education Center, or AVIC. Continuing in the spirit of its second anniversary in office, the Team Unity Administration will host its seventh in a series of public forums dubbed Good Governance and Accountability for Prosperity on Tuesday, February 28th at the Sadler's Primary School at 7:30 p.m. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris will be joined by Attorney General Honorable Vincent Byron, Minister of Public Infrastructure Honorable Ian Liburd, and Minister of Human Settlement Honorable Eugene Hamilton, who will give an account of their stewardship in bringing about the prosperity agenda for the people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Nationals and residents are invited to attend and voice questions and concerns, as these town hall meetings are by the people and for the people. Live coverage will be provided by ZIZ Television Channel 5 in St. Kitts and 98 in Nevis, and Radio 95.9, 96.1, 96.3, and 96.9 FM. The event will also be streamed online at www.zizonline.com and the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, or SKNIS, Facebook page. Moving on to news on the regional scene in Guyana, a popular East Coast bakery went up in flames on Monday morning, and investigators believe that it was the work of arsonists. We hear more from Travis Chase.
The 23-year-old wooden building of Benjamin's Bakery at Midday, Buxton on the East Coast was completely destroyed by fire shortly after 1 a.m. Monday. An employee of the bakery who lives the stone's throw away said she was alerted by neighbors that the bakery had been on fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what caused the fire, but this morning, like after 1, I got a call from my grandmother saying that the baker shop is on fire. When I came out from my bed, I alerted the neighbor, and then I get some of them to throw some water. We call the ambulance and the fire service, and they come and they try wherever, but as you can see, this is what's the remainder of it.
Telephoned Monday, Chief Fire Officer Marlon Gentle told Nightly News that arson is suspected. Gentle, while relying on information from his fire investigators on the ground, said that the fire started in the office where there were computers and equipment related to video surveillance cameras.
The baker shop is repairing right now.
So it was closed?
Yeah, it was closed.
And nobody lives here at the baker shop upstairs or so?
Yeah, somebody live here, but the person is not around right now. So.
When the fire service came, did they take a while or did they come in good time?
No, they respond as quick as possible.
Is it suspected that it might be of electrical or anything?
I'm not sure. I can't give any information on that, sir. All I can say is that I hear fire and that's it. I know nothing what caused the fire.
Fire investigators were told Monday morning that the blaze might have stemmed from a 23-year-old land dispute. There are indications from fire investigators that arsonists broke into the back of the building and set the fire. Losses estimate to be more than 10 million Guyana dollars.
But it's a lot. It's a lot because a lot of things damaged. The whole front piece, it damaged, and plenty things. Tools, a lot of things went down. Generator, all things. So it's a lot.
The bakery hopes to be back up fully in 2 months, but will continue supplying from Tuesday.
It's coming stronger.
Stronger, 100%.
Yeah.
Better.
What doesn't
Bigger
kill
and
you
better.
makes you stronger, sweetheart. And we're back. We're coming back. Bigger and better. Yeah.
The business, which was established some 23 years ago, provides employment for dozens of persons, mainly from the East Coast. Investigations continue. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
In Barbados, the pediatric department of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital now has more than $100,000 in equipment thanks to 2 visitors. We hear more in this report from Nation News Barbados.
A longtime visitor has donated more than $100,000 in equipment to the pediatric department of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. German Jos Reinhold and his wife Denise, who have been coming to Barbados for almost 40 years, presented department head Dr. Clyde Cave with 2 critical care cribs. A cardiac ultrasound machine is on the way. Mr. Reinhold said it was their way of giving back.
It is not only the sun or the sea that call us again and again. No, it is most of all the wonderful people of Barbados that make us feel every year a little bit more that we come home. And so, Denise and I, we want to thank you for your great hospitality. With exceptional help and assistance of our German consul, Andreas Kusai, and his wife Carla, we could realize our dream of giving back to you a little bit of what you have given to us in all these years. And now we are very happy to can donate for our little children these special beds. Hopeful that the kids never should need them.
In thanking the donors, Dr. Cave said the work of the hospital has always been augmented by donations from corporate Barbados, private citizens and visitors.
We have some very generous donors here who have given us some money towards specialized cribs, which you see here, and to a special piece of equipment which is on its way from China via the USA that will allow us at the bedside to see whether children have had bleeds into their brain or the way their heart is working. So instead of having to transport them out of the intensive care down to the lab, we can now do it at the bedside. So that's a big upgrade in skills for the care of sickest children that we have in our intensive care units.
Moving on to news on the international scene, U.S. President Donald Trump is planning to increase military spending by nearly 10%. The U.S. is already the world's biggest spender on defense, but Trump's first budget is said to include an extra $54 billion. Al Jazeera's James Bayes report from Washington, D.C.
President Trump has repeatedly said he'll increase spending on the U.S. military. Now, in the first outline of his budget, he says that could mean a 10% increase on the current Pentagon budget.
This is a landmark event, a message to the world in these dangerous times of American strength, security, and resolve. We must ensure that our courageous servicemen and women have the tools they need to deter war, and when called upon to fight in our name, only do one thing: win. We have to win. We have to start winning wars again.
$54 billion of spending on new planes, new ships and new equipment for the military. Where's that money coming from? The White House says there'll be cuts to other parts of government. Democrats believe those cuts will be politically damaging for the president.
We don't know where the cuts are coming from, but it's hard to see with this magnitude of cuts that, once again, middle-class people, working families are going to be hurt. They're going to almost certainly, by what they've said, breathe dirtier air and drink dirtier water.
President Trump has made it quite clear that his top military priority is the campaign against ISIL. When he first came into office, he gave the generals 30 days to come up with a plan. That plan has now been delivered to the White House. But experts say the tools needed to fight ISIL are not just military ones, and in fact include some areas where the president is planning to cut back in order to pay for his new military spending.
I can think of 2 or 3 areas around the world where I think we're presently underfunding very important foreign aid efforts that have direct bearing on U.S. national security. For example, Iraq, where we're working hard to try to help the Iraqis liberate Mosul. But we all know that a big part of the problem in Iraq is the Sunnis and Shia don't work well together, and we have a military success that then collapses in the face of political disagreement.
The White House says its new budget plan is just a first draft. There's now likely to be a long battle about where the exact cuts fall. James Bayes, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Rights groups in the Philippines are pushing for better support for victims of human trafficking. They say victims are often treated as criminals and cases can remain tied up in the courts for years. The Philippines is one of the biggest trafficking hotspots in Asia, with victims sent as far away as the Middle East. Al Jazeera's Jamila Alindogan reports from Zamboanga City.
Rescued from a trafficking ring, Anna talks about the agony of what she went through. She was desperate to earn a living. Her family is poor, she says, so she traveled to Zamboanga City to meet an illegal recruiter.
I was desperate to help my husband so we can pay off our debts. And look how I ended up. I cannot believe I have done this. I have made my parents worry for me. I hurt the people I love.
She stays in this safe house for now. She cries for the child she left behind. She's too ashamed to go home empty-handed. The Global Slavery Index of 2016 shows that more than 400,000 Filipinos are in some form of modern slavery, both here and abroad. Most of them are in forced labor. Women and children from conflict-ridden communities are particularly vulnerable. The port of Zamboanga is the main transit point in the region. Tens and thousands of women have been trafficked here, but not all vessels have marshals for law enforcement, so operatives rely on crew members to report any suspected human trafficking. The country has become an international hub for prostitution, a highly profitable business for criminal syndicates. The Interagency Council Against Trafficking in the Philippines have been calling on the government to better regulate the shipping industry here, which has been used by traffickers to cross through to Sabah. The government does implement anti-trafficking measures, but the number of convictions remains low. Cases can remain tied up in the courts for years.
Instead of being treated as victims, sometimes they are also treated as perpetrators or those who have criminal liability or criminal records. So it's difficult for them to be presented as witnesses in their own cases.
Diana is only 14. She was rescued by social workers from a brothel where she was held captive for months. She barely speaks. Instead, she draws happy images of herself. She imagines herself somewhere far away. Like so many other women in this safe house, Diana says this is far from the kind of life she imagined for herself. Jamel Alindogan, Al Jazeera, Zamboanga City, Southern Philippines.
And now for the weather. Present weather is partly cloudy. Winds are moderate from the east to northeast at 16 miles per hour. Seas are rough with height up to 9 feet. Warnings for mariners and sea bathers remain firmly in effect. Skies today and tonight will be partly cloudy. A few locally cloudy periods and brief passing showers could develop. Sunset today will be at 6:17 p.m. and the sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:28 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.